we're going to talk about Taylor Hawkins.
Aw.
And Shane wanted to talk about this big time. As a musician, did the Foo Fighters, were they inspirational to you? Is that somebody that you like?
I did. I grew up loving Nirvana.
Okay. Of course. And say that I have more connection to David Grohl just through Nirvana.
Like I'm a big fan of Dave Grohl's, big fan of what he's done on drums. I love Queens of the Stone Age, his record. And I'm a huge fan of drummers.
Yeah.
Really. Like, yeah. And I played music for a while. I was a singer in bands. I've seen Foo Fighters a bunch of times.
Live?
Like, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, they were one of the few bands I could see in a giant stadium that would make it feel like you were all in a basement together.
And they just had they just had their movie come out.
Yeah.
The one about
where he killed them.
Yeah.
Studio 66.
Studio 66.
Yeah.
We were like, I was like, me and Miracle were talking about like, I don't want to go. I think it's
I
kind
had
of
low-key wanted to watch
If it was like something that was on streaming at the time, I would have, but I don't think we had it. It was so it says Taylor Hawkins, Foo Fighters drummer, dies at 50. Hawkins' death was announced by the Foo Fighters on their social media accounts. This is from Billboard. So it says Taylor Hawkins, longtime drummer for enduring rock greats the Foo Fighters, has died. The shocking news announced tonight, March 25th, via social media statement from the band's accounts. With no cause of death immediately given, Hawkins was 50. The Foo Fighters family is devastated by the tragic and untimely loss of our beloved Taylor Hawkins. The statement reads, his musical spirit and his infectious laughter will live on with us forever. The one thing that I thought was very interesting about this was there was a couple of prevailing theories as to what happened, and I loathe to speculate and focus more on the tragedy.
Yep.
But some people thought it could be COVID related. Some people thought it might have been COVID vaccine related.
Yep.
And a lot of other people just said, he had problems with substance abuse.
Yep.
And I talked about this on IRL. I've talked about it on the show here on multiple occasions. Anytime stories like this come up, that it never goes away. You're always going to struggle with those demons for the rest of your life. You can have, I've known people, I mean, not personally, but people that I knew through either when I was in treatment, when I got treatment, who had 20 years sober and fell off the wagon. And that is a crushing thing to experience. So my mind, when something like this happens, is to at least keep yourself open to the possibility that that's what happened here.
Right. And it could, and unfortunately stuff like problems with addiction can be concealed by, behind the facade of a smile.
Yes.
And Taylor Hawkins was like, he was extremely energetic, a bright ball of energy. Like when you start watching that band live, like there's a lack of rock stars today. And like the Foo Fighters are up there with some of the biggest rock stars, right?
Yeah.
Like ever. And they were accepted by all the rock stars.
Yeah.
And so since I did like the majority of their music and saw them live a bunch of times, whenever they pass, I don't usually get worked up by a death of a celebrity. I mean, it's a bummer when anybody dies, but when they're gone, that's like the end of the art.
Yeah.
And it's really, it affects me. And like it just makes me think of all the other times I've been affected by a celebrity or musician's death in particular. I was thinking of David Bowie, like when he passed away, or when Dimebag Darrell from Pantera.
I still remember that.
Oh, it really, really affects
Mitch Hedberg affected me.
Mitch Hedberg,
not a musician, but
such a bummer.
I'm from Minnesota.
Yep.
I went to his wake.
No way.
We skipped school to go to the wake.
Oh,
Yes, we
how
did.
cool.
Dude,
Brett is cool.
Mitch had one of my favorite jokes ever, where you're walking down the street, someone hands you a flyer, says, "Here, you throw this away." I butchered that. Sorry, Ghost of Mitch.
Mitch was.
Were there a lot of people there?
Yeah, it was pretty. He was very well.
That's
loved.
incredible.
That's one of those things where to this day you can still tell Mitch Hedberg jokes. He is my spirit animal when it comes to anxiety on stage.
Oh he had terrible anxiety.
He had horrible anxiety.
He wore sunglasses.
And his was also he suffered from substance abuse problems. So it's like his was a lot of the same things. The other articles, and I just want to go through this quick, and then we'll talk about the rest of it. But it says they did find a plethora of drugs in his system. So my first instinct was to go here, and this does seem to be where this has gone. It says up to 10 different drugs in his system, including opiates, benzodiazepine, and tricyclic antidepressants, opioids and antidepressants. And first of all, putting opioids and benzodiazepine together is a recipe for heart failure.
Yep.
It's very, very dangerous. This was when I was using, I had a very serious addiction to opiates and uppers, which is also very, very, very bad for your system. So it's like one wrong move and you can have something very bad happen to you, something very tragic happen to you. but it doesn't lessen his work. It doesn't make any of his anything else that he accomplished any less so. But it is it's a commentary on the state of mental health in this country, on how we deal with our problems. Whether somebody when you've reached that level of fame, notoriety, and really you're expected, when so much is expected of you, is it normal to be able to handle something like that without some type of crutch?
Yeah, and the other thing thinking about this death is so weird to me is like, it's weird because when I think of Dave Grohl, he's someone who's extremely joyous, but also attached to a huge amount of grief as a Nirvana fan.
Yeah.
And his proximity to Kurt Cobain. And it's like you almost forget about the grief that he's come from. Like Foo Fighters was born out of grief, right? He recorded that first album alone, and Taylor came on after the first drummer went away. And then to now have to see him lose another bandmate is like really, it's upsetting.
I watched a video that came up while I was looking through all this stuff of like Grohl playing Smells Like Teen Spirit on drums during a show, like between sets or something like that, and the way the crowd buzzed just by hearing it. Not just the drum, just the.
Is this old or new?
It was old.
Like, okay.
But it was like
Nirvana.
it came up. Yeah, no, he was with Foo. Like he did it between sets.
Oh, gotcha.
But like while they were setting up. So
Sick.
it's So this is it reminded me of Mitch Hedberg. It reminded me of Paul Walker. Obviously not for the same reason, but and Heath Ledger for me. Heath Ledger's passing was the only time I've ever gotten in a car accident. Somebody bumped me when I heard it, and then I got out of the car, and that person had just heard it too on the radio.
Oh wow!
We were getting off an exit, and I got bumped, and I was almost not paying attention because of what I had just heard.
Oh man!
And that person had heard the story too, and that's why it happened.
Wow! Wow! I found myself revisiting Foo Fighters. I haven't even listened to them in a while. But yesterday I was like, I got to listen to them. And I think one of their most underrated albums is Echoes, Silence, Patience, and Grace. And it's like kind of like, I think Dave reconnecting with his North Carolina roots. But whoever hasn't listened to Foo Fighters or wants to listen to it, I really recommend going back to that album. And especially the song Let It Die. It's like the perfect Foo Fighters song because it's got everything in it. It's like the melodies are great. It starts off really quiet and it builds, and like you get to see Taylor and Dave at their best with the.
Do you believe that that's his best, Taylor's best work with the band?
With the band? Yeah. Probably not. Probably some of their earlier records, but that was, I think, just a really different album for them. Yeah. And I just love Taylor's drumming because he hit the shit out of the drums. Yeah. And he wasn't too busy, and but he did exactly what needed to be done, and he was a lot like Dave as a drummer, and Dave is one of my, I mean, whoever, if you haven't listened to Songs for the Deaf by Queens of the Stone Age, what Dave Grohl did on that record, it's phenomenal. Phenomenal drumming. So yeah, I love that. And it's funny you bring up Mitch Hedberg and comedians because there's actually a lot of comedians who are also really good drummers. Like Johnny Carson was a drummer.
I didn't know that.
And I think it's because there is a timing clearly between both of them. Yep. And comedy is kind of like being a drummer. You know, you're making
timing wise,
yeah.
There's timing is absolutely crucial in comedy, which is weird because Mitch's timing was anti-timing.
Yeah, like he was jazz drummer.
He was very anti-timing. Like he would deliver it in this weird way that had this kind of abrupt. It had an abruptness to it that most comedians would tend to draw out.
And it probably has something to do with his anxiety as well.
Yes,
like the way he was like. He was reluctant to even speak.
He found a way to transform kind of nervous reciprocal laughter into real laughter.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, we're kind of getting off topic, but I
love that we're talking about Mitch Hedberg all of a sudden now.
Yes. But that was his was the first name that came to my mind, I guess.
Interesting.
So I just, whenever these types of things happen, because I don't know what to talk about really, because it's like, how do you talk about death in a way that's very...
Well, I think it's just the culture of celebrity death is really fascinating. And it's kind of gross that there's a paragraph here that we're all looking at about the substances in his body.
Yeah.
I don't really care about the reasons of his death. I mean, it's interesting because I care about him as an artist, and it's sad, but none of us really should care about what's in his body.
I don't care if he was. I mean, I don't want people to be addicted to stuff, but it's not my business. Like I said, I have more empathy than most when it comes to this stuff because of what I've been through. Right. But it's also it's like I hate that it has to be part of the discussion, but it does have to be. But part it has of the discussion.
I understand that. I just like that. It's also.
It does not diminish his work. It does not mean that the impact he's had on a gazillion people is any less so than what it was before.
Right.
If anything, it speaks to the the struggles that come with working in these industries and being someone of that with a profile of that nature.
If anything, it kind of pierces that armor of what you were saying earlier, like this celebrity facade that since they have success, everything's cool. But they're just like everybody else.
I'm very bipolar in that sense. Like I dislike the celebrities who are like, look, celebrities, they're just like us.
Right.
But I also dislike when people say stuff like, what problems do they have? They've got money.
Right.
That's not a real argument.
Yeah.
Not really.
Yeah.
You can make the comparison that celebrities are disconnected from reality and that they're absolutely not in touch with the common person.
Yep.
But that doesn't mean that having money makes your life any less stressful.
No.
Mo Money Mo Problems is not just a song, it's a thing. It's a real thing for people in that world. So this is one of those cases where it's tragic.
Yeah.
He had survived a heroin OD in 2001.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he had overdosed then.
Oh.
And it's just like I'm glad in a way that it's gotten away from the debate about whether it was something COVID or not glad, but it's like I'm sick of these debates about why somebody died. Like, let's focus on him.
All these that's the thing about celebrity deaths that's so problematic, I guess. I hate that word, I just said it, but I said it, is like all these different internet teams try to own the death. Or use the death against the other team. It's disgusting. And I also want to say real quick, I don't hate Canadians because I forgot that Taylor Hawkins was the drummer for Alanis Morissette, who was a Canadian that I love.
I didn't say that. You should be pointing at Brett.
No, I think you said it. We'll play the video back.
Okay.
I said that.
Okay.
I made
then I'm out of here. See you guys.
I said Chris Carr.
No, you're right.
I do love the song "Not As We" by Alanis Morissette.
Nice. I don't even know that one.
Good. It's good.
It's okay.
Is that on Jagged Little Pill?
No, I
then I don't know it.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't even remember how long ago this. It was from an episode of House. That's why I know it. It was from a very pivotal episode of House in like season 4. So I just is there anything else you think about him that people should know? Like if you wanted more records, if there's other stuff of his that you think
he just put out a solo record. I haven't even listened to, honestly. I feel bad that I haven't, but I love his interviews. I mean, just listening to this guy, like I said, like I am obsessed with drummers, and listening to him talk about drums is amazing. It's how I feel about like someone like Jimmy Chamberlain from the Pumpkins. They're these guys who just played the crap out of their drums, and as I was listening to this Echo, Silence, Patience, and Grace, I just remembered, I was like, this guy is a phenomenal drummer, and please go listen to Let It Die, because you get to hear like the background vocals that he would have been doing live. You know what? Screw that. Go watch live videos of them playing live and to see like just how he was like a ball of energy. He was, and I think that's why it also affects me so much. It's like rock gods to me are like immortal. So to see them when they pass away, like when it seems like it's too soon, it's upsetting.
50 is a little bit young. It's the same age that Michael Jackson passed away too, and that one was very tragic to some people.
Are there any musicians or performers that have passed away that affected you?
I want to say no, but that makes me sound like I'm dead inside. But
you're young. She's also young.
Yeah, but like also another morbid thing, like. This clicked in my head because my grandmother said this about like Bruce Lee. Like when he first started his career, a lot of Chinese people have this superstition: you're not supposed to portray yourself being dead. And
interesting.
And the movie that he played in, Studio 666, he got his head chopped off. So okay. There's a lot of superstition where like if you play a movie that's like the title has the word definite, like. That's not good. That's bad juju. And then like when you play a character that's gonna die, that's really bad.
I believe I don't think it's Japan, but is it China that don't allow skulls in their games?
It's in China.
It's in China.
Yeah, it's in China. They're like really superstitious about death. So like because like you know how like the number 4 sounds like death in Chinese, like how they rhyme it.
Okay.
So like they're very superstitious about it. Like 4th floor in any building, they'll leave it empty because they're afraid of that. It just depends who you talk to, but like that just clicked in my head because like I know like it sounds like I'm superstitious all of a sudden, but he did portray a character that got his head chopped off by the symbol of the drum.
Well, that's different people from different cultures will have different takes on that.
Yes, I'm not trying to pull like connections to that, but like if people were superstitious, like that's one
they could
thing.
see a connection.
Yeah,
if they did.
But again, like he died the same age as Michael Jackson, which like kind of makes me a little bit sad.
Yep.
Age 50 is
also,
a little bit too young.
Possibly but that was like Michael Jackson was like maybe a doctor problem.
Yeah, it was a doctor problem because his doctor didn't care. He was just...
I didn't even think of mentioning Prince, and Prince is from Minnesota.
Prince.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wait, how did Prince die again?
He died of a drug overdose.
Was it a drug overdose?
I thought it was I thought something happened with.
Well, Michael Jackson died because
somebody will have to fact check me on that. I could be missing that.
I'll search it.
No, just we'll do it. Yeah.
Also, I know it's overly cliche for Foo Fighters, but the Everlong video is still one of the best videos ever made, and with a great Taylor Hawkins.
It was an accidental drug
Does it say
overdose.
what was it? Suboxone? It couldn't have been a Suboxone.
Painkiller.
Okay, yeah.
Dang.
He had a problem with that very well. That was spoken of a lot in Minnesota. So he it's tragic.
Yeah.
Like I said, all this stuff, celebrities. Prince is like the definition of like outward love to people.
I know.
And so to see that stuff happen to people who are so caring outwardly to others and make music and art that they're passionate about, and then to see the struggles that they're going through, struggles I've been through, it kind of kills me a little bit inside every time I hear stuff like that.
I just noticed that celebrity singers, they don't live as long as like celebrity actors. Do you look at their ages, like they die a little bit younger than actors.
Imagine touring doesn't help when you're constantly on the road and you're not, you're living a harder life.
Look at how Doja's reacting to it now. And she's fairly early on.
Everybody,
in her career.
look out for Doja.
Dave Doja.
This was a problem for pro wrestlers who not just steroids, but were on the road 300 days a year doing the most for whatever it is. Like it's fake. I'm like, yeah, but it's still incredibly phically taxing. And they're doing it 300 days a year, hopped up on painkillers. Now they were, and so they were dropping dead like flies at very early ages.
Did you like the movie The Wrestler?
I
really like that movie.
A lot of people. I love Mickey Rourke.
I love Mickey Rourke.
But that was it didn't resonate with me at the time. Maybe if I rewatched it now, but
because it kind of sums up what you're saying so well.
No, that was their life, and it's like now, like WWE, like they will pay for if you ever worked for that company, they will pay for your rehab. Even if you didn't develop a drug addiction there, because they know that they played such a huge role, and they don't do it because they care. They do it because it's a liability and a PR thing.
Right. That's still nice for them to do that because a lot of industries won't pay for that. They're like, well, you did it to yourself. Why not? You just pay it yourself.
So that's like, I think that's part of the hard part of being on the road is you develop it. It is very easy. You just think about this, not just the fact that you're going time zone to time zone. You're constantly needing to be somewhere. You're not in control of your own schedule. It is high anxiety all the time. And it is very easy to use chemicals to kind of crutch for that.
Is this a pro-conservatorship speech that you're giving us?
Well,
it's a be wary of what you do for a living.
I know. I was just thinking of Britney Spears and how the industry destroyed her, or maybe her conservatorship destroyed her.
Well, it depends like how you're looking on it. Like you can watch a bunch of documentaries on YouTube where like they lean on both sides. But honestly, I agree with what Brett said because there's a lot of like people need to realize like again, like celebrity life, they glamorize it to look like it's the best thing ever. You'll be rich and famous, like nothing can touch you. But like basically, they deal with more stress. They don't have a balanced lifestyle like the rest of us. Because like for us, we complain that we work too much, but we still have time to sleep. These people don't sleep. They either sleep on the plane or sleep in the bus.
Yeah.
Well, she's talking more like people who are like touring and performing.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm talking about. But like even like using drugs, like it keeps you awake and alive for a little bit, and sometimes depression.
I'm just curious what the difference is then with some artists who are thriving under all that type of environment.
Some people lean into it. Some people live for that. They need to be busy all the time. They need to be, it's like a CEO. People don't realize how much work goes into being a CEO. Like you have to be kind of made for that lifestyle. I don't think that I don't think you become that. I think aspects of it are just who you are.
Like Donald Glover, someone who does everything somehow all the time.
Yeah.
And he seems, I don't know him, but he seems to be fine. He's a father. He's a husband. And then there's someone like Kanye who kind of absorbs all of the negative energy and uses it to make his art.
Yep.
So it's different for everybody.
Yeah. So we will. It's just very sad.
Yeah.
The whole thing is very sad.
About Donald Glover, there's like an article where he was raving about Obama's oldest daughter. What's her name? Malia Obama.
Yep.
She's a part of the new writing cast for the TV show that he's acting in.
Yep. His show that he writes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of exciting for like her. Like I was like wondering what happened to the Obama kids, but at least they're
just
like,
getting special treatment in Hollywood. What else?
Oh man.
Hollywood is a weird thing. We can just talk about Hollywood all day.
Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.